Tonight on To The Point, an army of local architects and builders agree housing the homeless is not moving quickly enough.
If we were operating at the same pace that the government is operating right now, we've been fired by our client.
Plus, a plan to crack down on California's rental prices.
To ask for anywhere from $9,000 to $12,000 to rent a property, it's a little overboard.
And the ABC 10 weather team investigates. Is California wasting its water? We go to the Delta. Thanks for joining us. This is To The Point, and I'm Alex Bell. Housing the homeless is not moving quickly enough. Nearly 10,000 people are still unsheltered in Sacramento County. An army of local architects and builders is volunteering their time to create transitional housing. Our Becca Habegger spoke to them today.
Yeah, they say a lack of solutions has reached a breaking point, and they, as members of the private sector, are eager to step in and lend their expertise to the county and city.
If you're fed up with a seeming lack of solutions and actions in tackling the homelessness crisis, so are John Hodgson and Bob Chase.
If we were operating at the same pace that the government is operating right now, we've been fired by our client long ago for not performing, not producing.
Bob, former deputy state architect and chief building official for the city of Sacramento, now a private consultant, and his colleague John Hodgson, an attorney and real estate developer, have gathered a group of local architects and builders who, over the past couple of years, have volunteered thousands of hours to find solutions, and sooner rather than later, hoping to work with the government.
So we're saying, let us in the private sector help. We don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it our way. But we sure like to have the opportunity. There's cooperation out there. This is not an adversarial thing. Yeah. It's just more everybody saying, let's get it done, let's get it done, let's get it done.
They're consulting for Sacramento County for free, designing tiny homes they say can be built quickly and effectively.
We've got some designs that we think can be built quicker, more cost effective, more attractive, and compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods.
They say permanent supportive housing is the ultimate goal, but that takes years to build. In the meantime, people need a place to live other than sidewalks and along the American River Trail.
Any solution, I think, is better than the sidewalk and the riverbank. So if it's safe parking, anything with security, with any kind of sanitary facilities that will bring in social services as well is an improvement over where many of the people are right now.
They went to LA earlier this year on their own dime, visiting tiny home communities there to see what's working and what they could bring back to Sacramento.
We feel that if we can get one facility up and running that can be done well and can look good with our architect teams, it will help pave the way for more to come.
They're working with public and private entities looking for sites that are close to resources and jobs.
I think most people don't understand being homeless doesn't mean they're jobless. So these people do need to be near transportation. They're not making enough money to afford an apartment, but they are making money and they are working.
They've presented plans and are actively meeting with elected officials.
Let's make something happen.
Now, one site we discussed was Cal Expo. As you recall, back in March, Governor Newsom announced the city would be getting some 350 tiny homes for the unhoused community here in Sacramento. So we checked on the progress. The state tells us at present, discussions around the use of Cal Expo are still ongoing. There will be no single location for all of the cabins. However, we have identified an initial site in Sacramento that we plan to announce soon.
And Becca, before you go here, my biggest question is what happens next? Is the city going to listen to them?
That's a great question. It's an ongoing conversation, but Bob and John say they're hopeful about a vote next week. Mayor Steinberg has proposed City Manager Howard Chan be able to identify safe ground shelter sites, something previously up to the council members. Now, the council will vote on whether to give Chan that authority next week. Bob and John say that could help projects come together faster. That vote is not without controversy, but those two men say they are in favor of it.
And you already know we'll be all over it and following it. Thank you so much, Becca. We appreciate it. All right, another top stories. An Elk Grove man is in jail accused of killing his wife with fentanyl. Investigators say Glennis Smith poisoned Jennifer Smith Floyd's food with fentanyl twice. The two had been married for 5 years, but were separated for several months leading up to her death back in January.
Early on in the initial investigation, officers learned that the victim had been transported to a local hospital the day before for what was described as an allergic reaction to some food that she had consumed.
Investigators say Smith is also suspected of setting the couple's travel trailer on fire at a self-storage facility. San Joaquin County just recorded their first human case of West Nile virus. A 49-year-old man is receiving medical care. Mosquitoes can transfer West Nile to humans. People can develop some serious illness, such as swelling of the brain. Sacramento's Major League Soccer dream is still alive. The city has announced that they have a new lead investor. The Stronach Group, known for owning many horse racing venues, including Santa Anita Park, is in talks with Sacramento Republic FC. We'll have more on that major announcement coming up tonight at 11. Californians pay some of the highest rents in the country. A security deposit could range anywhere from $2,000, $6,000, or even more. Now, a new bill is looking to cap that cost. In an effort to get more people into housing, a new state bill proposes to cap security deposits to 1 month's rent instead of 2 months' rent for an unfurnished apartment or 3 months' rent for a furnished apartment. The bill's author says that this will bring relief to over 17 million people in California who rent.
Yes, we need to build more housing. Yes, we need to address mental health issues and drug issues on the street. But for somebody who just wants to get an apartment for their family, just wants to get out of their car if they're living on the street, we shouldn't see these huge burdens.
Assemblymember Matt Haney points to Massachusetts, New York, and Delaware, who already have security deposit cap laws. He says California is falling behind at a time when rents are rapidly increasing.
To be clear, if more damages than 1 month are done, the tenant is still fully liable for those damages. This doesn't change anything about liability. What it does change is how much you have to pay up front.
Those who oppose the bill say it would make it harder for property owners to cover costs like property damages or unpaid rent. John Tyner manages over 1,000 properties. He believes the bill is problematic for the tenants it's designed to help.
I think it will just make them all the more careful about who they select. And so the income requirements and some of the other things that they can still look at, they're just going to raise that higher. I think if we would reduce regulation, make it easier for builders to build, especially affordable entry-level housing, that would have a much greater impact.
Property manager Barry Roseborough says that he has seen the high security deposit costs.
Owners are asking for almost as much as you would ask for a down payment of a home. And if renters could pay for a home, they would do that.
Barry believes this bill will cause issues for both sides.
I believe that owners are going to take a step back from renting their property. It's going to make it hard for owners to recover any fees for damages to their property from tenants. And also for tenants, it's just going to be very hard for them to find rental properties.
He hopes there's a middle ground solution that will work for everyone. The bill is headed to the state Senate next. Its author adds that there will be an exemption for some of the smallest landlords. He says that someone that owns just 1 or 2 homes, the level of risk that they may be taking on is a little bit more. Next, on to the point, a major home insurer is calling on California to do more.
And highs today in the upper 80s for Sacramento, 93 in Marysville, 95 in Stockton, 3 to 6 degrees cooler from yesterday's high. How long we'll see this cooling trend sticking around?
And the ABC 10 weather team investigates, is California wasting its water? Time to check your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Meteorologist Carly's like, did I just get a raise?
I got a raise.
Meteorologist Carly Gomez. We're looking pretty good tonight in the 80s, right?
Yes, 80s. I mean, we're in the middle of summer. This is times where we're usually seeing 95 degrees, the average this time of year. And we're sitting currently at 84 degrees. Today's high was 88 in Sacramento at the Sac Executive Airport. A little warmer downtown, but 89 currently in Roseville, 91 in Marysville. And taking a look at the weather ahead, a slight warming trend into the weekend. So each day will increase by maybe a degree or two back into the mid-90s. And then the breezy Delta winds coming through, as well as winds for the Sierra, could bring the gusts as high as 25 to 35 miles per hour. Then we'll get back to some cooler temperatures into next week. So upper 80s and low 90s returning. And current high pressure has moved toward the east just a bit, with the monsoonal flow of moisture also shifting east. We are looking at a low to the northwest over the Pacific. What we're seeing here is now that we're seeing the trough dip a little further south, we're getting a little bit cooler air, but we're also seeing the increased wind speeds through the region. Those winds picking up through the Delta and mostly through the coastal range spots, becoming gusty there. Meanwhile, the valley looking at winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, could get as high as about 20 tomorrow, and then some stronger winds over the Sierra Crest toward Nevada. As we take a look into your Friday, you see about the 10 to 15 mile per hour winds there, and some stronger winds glowing up there in that yellow shade around 30 miles per hour. And then also taking a look at that over the Sierra. Now, as you look into your Saturday, very similar situation. So we're going to continue this on repeat. Even though we are looking at mid to low 90s through next week, we'll still see some of these winds as long as we have these two, the high and the low, right up against each other, kind of battling it out back and forth for whether We're going to see some cooler air and some strong winds, but as long as this high continues to stay toward the east, we're going to be looking at some cooler temperatures. So cooler than average, I should say. Because 90s are still warm, you want to take care of yourself, your skin, your pets, your family. Upper 80s Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and we could see a warming trend the following weekend.
The ABC 10 weather team investigates, is California wasting its water? We go to the Delta after the break. Is California wasting its water? That's one of the top questions that we are answering all this week on To The Point. The ABC 10 weather team is investigating where our water is going and if we're wasting it. Tonight, meteorologist Brendan Minchefs looks at the controversial Delta Tunnel project.
A battle is underway in the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta.
This is the source of water for the state and federal water projects, also the Bay Area, and all the communities in the Delta, and all the farms that exist across 700,000 acres.
For decades, Delta residents and the state have been unable to agree on a plan to transport water from the rainy but rural northern half of the state to the heavily populated but dry southern half. To improve water delivery and reliability, the state's Delta Conveyance Project aims to build a tunnel underneath of the Delta. Former Governor Jerry Brown proposed 2 tunnels. Current Governor Gavin Newsom has narrowed it down to 1. But to understand this project's significance and the controversy, we first need to look at the Delta itself. Water from across Northern California, from the Sacramento River to Sierra Snowmelt to the San Joaquin River, flows into the Delta on its way out to San Francisco Bay and the Pacific. The Delta is home to numerous species found nowhere else. It's an important stopover on the Pacific Flyway, and it's also become a fertile agricultural region.
About 75% of the land in the Delta is used for agriculture. Every crop from tomatoes to grapes, triticale and potatoes and corn, rice, and everything in between.
This poses a problem for all of California, as well as all those that depend on California-grown food.
This is really the hub of our water deliveries.
Right now, water transported from the Delta happens via pumping into the California Aqueduct, which runs roughly parallel to Interstate 5. But the current system was built in the mid-1900s to handle a population and climate that doesn't exist today.
It was designed to manage a different type of precipitation. We don't know exactly what will happen with climate change, but it's pretty clear that we're going to have more rain falling in the winter as opposed to snow that will then melt in the spring. The reservoirs are really designed for that spring runoff.
This takes us back to where we began. Under the direction of the Department of Water Resources, the state's plan to address these issues and future-proof California's water is to build a tunnel larger than the English Channel Tunnel underneath the Delta.
This year, if we had been able to have the Delta Conveyance Project online in January, we would have captured another 228,000 acre-feet of water, and that's enough to feed about 2.3 million people, or about 800,000 households.
First off, they really couldn't have moved extra water this year because there was no place to put the water.
Restore the Delta has been an outspoken critic of the tunnel project from the beginning.
It's really sad. Restore the Delta was really earnest when it went and participated with the Design Construction Authority for 2 years. We didn't like the project, but we figured, okay, we're going to sit at a table for 2 years. We're going to explain our water quality concerns around harmful algal blooms, salinity. We're going to explain our concerns around air pollution during construction. Those were the big pieces for us, and they weren't addressed.
Graham Bradner works with the Delta Conveyance Design and Construction Authority, or DCA.
So we have a singular mission, which is to design and build a project should DWR decide to proceed with one.
The DCA is a pseudo-state office funded and run by the 18 public water agencies that would directly benefit from the construction of a tunnel. The key players within the DCA are the Santa Clara Valley Water District and, unsurprisingly, the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California.
We did right from the beginning of our conceptual design process, engage local communities through a stakeholder engagement committee. Our mission with that committee was to look for ways to reduce design and construction effects to communities and environment within the Delta. Our plan would be for the future phases during design and then construction to re-engage with community groups, establish committees where folks could continue to be involved in the process, and would really hope to have inclusion.
We went through the scoping meetings where you couldn't give proper community impact. You could give your reports to a recorder. So sure, they held X amount of meetings, but if they don't listen, if they don't answer your questions, and they never take your concerns seriously, is that really meaningful engagement? We don't think so.
When asked if the Delta communities that the DCA has engaged with have been supportive, Graham admitted they have not been.
Oh no, I mean, none of the folks who participated in the Stakeholder Engagement Committee are really supportive of the project. That wasn't the objective. The objective was to give everyone in the community an opportunity to be part of the concept design phase.
The proposal is that it would only operate at times that the Sacramento River is higher or at times that there aren't fish present during the summer.
The California State Auditor released a report in May 2023 that said the Department of Water Resources has, quote, made only limited progress in accounting for the effects of climate change in its forecasts of the water supply and in its planning for the operation of the State Water Project. It goes on to say that until DWR makes more progress and uses better data, DWR will be less prepared than it could be to effectively manage the state's water resources in the face of more extreme climate conditions. The timeline for a complete and functioning delta, should it be built, is at the very earliest a decade or two away. And by then, will it even still be relevant?
No, it's not. We're going to have to do everything else first. It's sad for us. We don't want to be spending time on this any longer. We've done this for years. We're working on other projects. We're doing water quality testing. We're working on floodplain restoration projects. We're training the next generation. But we will stand up and we will force them to do things the right way because it's all at stake for California.
The world is watching us here, that if we fail to meet these challenges, we will fail in a way that sends a despairing message to all Californians and those well beyond.
Meteorologist Brendan Minchev joins me right now. A lot of different interests at play here, but what is really at stake?
I mean, honestly, what's at stake, Alex, is the water in California for all of us, from north to south. We all rely on water that falls in the northern part of the state. It is the rainiest part of the state, and 75% of California's population is south of Sacramento. So we have to have a way to move that water. Now, water fuels our economy. It fuels our way of life, whether we're farmers or just everyday citizens with a 9 to 5. What's really important, though, the state says, is this safeguards against climate change, Alex, and it just protects us against earthquakes and whatever the future may hold for water in California.
All right, thank you, Brendan. And I want to mention that the weather team's water wasted investigation will air in its entirety right here tomorrow night at 6:30 on To The Point. Last night, we reported on California's insurance crisis. Now, Allstate Insurance says that they are considering leaving the state altogether if something doesn't change. Here's what they had to say in a recent insurance workshop.
Without pricing enhancements, Allstate will remain closed to new business and will evaluate additional non-renewals or the full withdrawal of property lines from the California market.
State has already stopped accepting new property insurance applications. State Farm, AIG, and now Liberty Mutual have all made changes to how they do business. This is a story that we will continue to cover. It's bear season. A young black bear has been roaming an Auburn neighborhood for about a week. Our Garage Pasenga got a closer look last night.
He's not full grown though. He's still a baby.
It is not a sight you see every day.
There he is.
A bear in a tree.
No, that's a good one there.
In your backyard.
Tell him to pose for you.
That is the sight Joanne Levy and her neighbor Ben Smith are taking in.
Call him Little Bear.
This little black bear has taken over their Auburn neighborhood near Ashford Park.
Yep, it's way up, about 50 feet up.
Over the past week and a half, the bear has tried to stay away from people, but Levy says one animal may have been its victim.
It was a big rabbit. He took the cage, turned it over and got the rabbit, ate it, climbed up the tree.
The owner of the rabbit wasn't available for comment.
These bears are big wimps.
Ann Bryant with the Bear League told ABC 10 recently the bear was likely separated from its mother and now has to fend for itself. She adds people shouldn't be scared and should make things difficult.
This is the time to make or break that bear. Say, you get out of here. Go on, get out. There's plenty of food out there for him. He's just trying to find an easy way to make a living.
And these bear sightings are causing alarm, but Auburn police ask people to only call 911 if there is a serious immediate danger. And our weather team's investigation, Water Wasted, wraps up tomorrow on To The Point. Be sure to catch the full investigation right here at 6:30. And I'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great night. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.